Welcome back to the Valkyrie Heart podcast, season 2, episode 3, where we are going to talk about all things training,
rest, recovery,
and everything in between.
What works for you and what will change working for you in years down the road.
Yeah, what a delight the perimenopause has been. We're going to see the contrast of what training for an ultramarathon at 25 looks like, and how training has had to be so adjusted as someone who is in their 40s. Delightful.
Advanced in years.
Spoken like a true little sister. Welcome to this episode. We hope you enjoy. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, all the YouTube-y things below. So what is the longest race you have run to date?
They're not that long.
Oh my gosh, come on.
I've only still done the 50Ks, so they're like 32 miles.
I mean, I've told you this before, I don't even want to drive 32 miles, let alone run for 32 miles.
Yeah, but when you're in the woods and you're just by yourself and you're eating food and you're listening to music and you're having the best time.
I mean, I can do all of that in the woods and not running too.
I mean, like, okay, unless you're, like, an insane runner like Rachel, who just won the Coca at a 250.
Yeah, that was insane.
Most ultra runners, we have to walk a good amount of the way. Like, your legs will only take you so far to run. So it's not all running. I think my best...
I mean, still.
I think the most consecutive I've ever run at one time without stopping was... yeah, probably like 24 miles or something.
Ugh.
Ups and downs. And yeah. I'll get you out there one day. Most female ultra runners peak in their 30s and 40s. You are in the middle of your peak.
Given I don't even run a couple of miles every week, I think that would be a hard thing to peak into.
You can always try.
Okay, so what in the world got you interested in ultra marathons in the first place? Like, that's who wakes up and is like, I'm gonna train for an ultra run. Like, I don't understand where that comes from, why it comes. Like, walk us through what even this was.
Try being a really stressed out 21-year-old going through paramedic school. You hit your bottom and your breaking point really quick. And, there's literally studies that show that, like, when there's a lot of things going on in the world, when people are under a lot of stress, like today, the political climate, XYZ, running as a hobby, like, explodes. People take up running during, like, the most stressful periods of
I guess that makes sense
on.
if
it's
when
natural
we're activated, we run.
So
from a bear or a lion, so we'll just run from our problems. That works too.
I mean, it's worked pretty well for me up until this point.
Has it though?
Yeah, so I was going through medic school. And I had a classmate who was incredible, super, super cool person. And one day I was sitting next to her and I was like, oh, like, what are you, like, doing, like, in a couple of weeks, whatever, you want to hang out? And she was like, oh, I can't, I have a 100-miler that I'm running. And I was like, you're doing a 100-mile race? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what? Like, it just blew my mind. I had no idea that the ultra world, like, existed.
Yeah.
And... so
it's existed for a long time, but it has taken off in like
really
mainstream
popular
now.
Yeah, which there's a lot going on in the world right now. Yeah. People are taking up running. But so she really like inspired me. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. I want to go do it. And so
Question. How much had you run prior to this moment of inspiration?
I did a half when I was 17.
I think you were 16.
No, it was 2017. It was New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's right.
And then, just that one, I think. Because I didn't do my first marathon until after my first ultra, which was great.
How that? What?
Yeah. So anyway, so I have this conversation with her, and then I go home, or back to the station, because I was in medic school. And I was like, I need to find a race. Like, I need to go to this to prove to myself that I can do this. Because it sounded so cool. And I like doing hard things. I wanted to prove that I could do hard things.
Mm.
And so I just Google, like,
Which I just want you to know that I'm pausing on that tangent of curiosity that motivates us to do hard things. But continue your story.
So I just Googled, like, at first I, like, Googled, like, just, like, 100 milers near me or 50 milers, whatever. And so I'm looking through, like, all these races. And I was like, I could do a 50K. I could do 32 miles. Like, that seems like a good starting point. Never run a real marathon. It's like, I'm going to start with a 50K. So I start training. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah,
my first, like, I'm turning bright red because my first ultra run by myself, like, I was such an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't prepared. It was such a hard experience. But again, I was going through medic school. I was working every day, like, all hours every day.
So, in your training during that time, you were mostly running on a treadmill?
I was mostly running on a treadmill.
Holy.
But I was also, like, running around, like, I was still doing some running out and about, but again, if I wasn't at school, I was at work, and so I didn't give myself time to go out and run outside.
Yeah.
So I tried training for this race, just running 12, 15 miles on a treadmill.
That sounds horrible.
Doing sprints, like, every other day.
How much hurt? Like, how much did that... were there problems involved with, like, shin splints? I
was 21. No, I had no problems. I had, like, a shitty pair of Nikes and, like,
God, I miss those days.
It was great. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. So I go through my training cycle. I trained for, a couple of months. I didn't tell anybody. I was doing this because I was like, I'm doing this for me and I'm not doing it for anybody else. So
was there, like, a little bit of bragging rights in there?
Not really.
Huh.
I was just in a really dark place.
I would absolutely only run an ultra to say that I had done it.
Lots of people are like that. But it's not a bad thing. It's something you should be proud of to be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
But so it's like the day before the race was like a 4-hour drive from where I was. The race started at like 8 in the morning. And
what time of year was it?
December.
Oh my gosh.
December. And this race was known for being
in the high desert.
It was in Eugene.
Yeah, okay.
So this race is known in the area to be extremely hard. It's just done on, like, a mountain, and you do, like, 4 loops of this mountain, but the loops are different, each one that you do. So the race starts at 8 a.m. It's a 4-hour drive for me. I take myself off the clock at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was running calls up until 3.
Oh my gosh.
So I was basically just up all night, because I, like, did homework, I, like, got a couple hours sleep, and then I, like, woke up, and I got all my stuff ready to go.
Oh, to be young.
And then I, like, as I was leaving, my coworker, like, just happened to wake up because I knocked on his door, and I was like, hey, I'm going off, you can sleep now if any calls come in. Because it was just us two who were on the rig that night. And he was like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm just going over to Eugene. And then I, like, left. So I get there, and I'm, like, it was, like, right before the race started, and I had a friend who lived, like, 45 minutes away from the race. And I texted her, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I spend the night tonight? Because I knew I wasn't going to be able to drive home.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, that's fine. What are you, like, doing in the area? And I was like, oh, I'm just running an ultra race. And she was like, what?
I'm just running an ultra race.
So she was the only person that I told that I was doing it. I still remember her texting me, like, when I was at, like, mile 12, and was like, you got this, good job! And it was cool, because I was, like, that gave me, like, a little bit of encouragement that I really needed, but I was, like, I was out there to prove that I could do it by myself.
So, I feel like we jumped over so much. Like, I want to go back and ask you about the first half marathon, but also, with this ultra run, you have no idea what you're doing. Mm-hmm. How long did you feel like what was your goal for it to finish by, and then what did you actually finish with?
I think I was trying...
Like, was your goal just to finish?
No, I think I was aiming for, like, a sub, or, like, I was aiming for, like, a 6 hour and 30-minute
Oh my gosh.
race-ish. I think I was pretty, whatever you want to call it. I was hoping I could do like a 6 hour, but I knew that's probably pretty unrealistic for me. So I was like, I'll be happy with
roughly
6
like
and a
12,
half.
13 miles an hour. Or, sorry, 12 to 13 mile pace? Minute pace.
Yeah,
pace.
it would end up being like a 13:25, I think,
Okay.
average. And yeah, I ended up doing it, I think, in like 7:10 or something. Wow. It was not, I was crushed. It was like,
God.
It was terrible.
You're, of course,
it was terrible.
one of the only people on the planet who finishes their first ultramarathon disappointed.
It was horrible. But I did it. Like, I did it. And that was like, that was
honestly, all. I feel like if I were to do that now at this point in my life, I would be disappointed by myself finishing it. I'd be like, why did I do this in the first place?
Yeah, so, it's not for everybody.
So the half marathon,
mm-hmm.
like, you had to have had some interest peaked in that to have this, to be interested later.
I mean, yeah, I started running when I was, just like 16, but again, we were homeschooled living up on property. I started running because I was depressed and sad.
Yeah.
And
aren't we all?
Yeah, aren't we all? But I have it's funny, I'm an ultra runner and I'm out there by myself in the woods, but I have like a big fear of like big cats or bears because like we live in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. So like running, being homeschooled, living up like on property, I was too afraid to go out and like run in the woods because like we did see bobcats and like mountain lions and stuff. So I ran on just our parents' basketball court. I just would it was like 14 times in a mile, and I just run in circles. You didn't even
run the driveway?
Mm-mm, not that hill.
Oh my gosh.
No, so that's when I started, and then I told mom and dad that I wanted to run a half marathon just for fun, and then I think I found like some really shitty treadmill off Craigslist that dad went and got for me. And then I started running inside. And then I got shin splints, but like,
which, not to take the glory from you, but I will absolutely never, ever, 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 ever forget that our brother Benjamin decided the night before, I play basketball, I can run a half marathon, just signed up and decided to do it. And then the kicker, he decides to play, what was the song?
Try Everything by Shakira. Yep. Ran on repeat for the whole 2.5 hours he was running, and he ran in like pink basketball high tops.
You only live once. I would never forget that.
That was impressive. You think I'm impressive? That was impressive.
Except the day after when he literally could not walk. that was not as impressive. Okay, so you were disappointed at the end because you wanted to make a time you didn't make. What did you learn about yourself though?
That I could do hard things if I put my mind to it.
Also, random question.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world do you think about when you're running for that long? Like, I feel like if I could solve world problems, I would have enough time whilst running, trying to distract myself from the discomfort and the pain.
Think about anything and everything. You're listening to music, you're talking to yourself, you're...
What do you talk to about? What do you talk to yourself about? Like...
So, this race, the first race that I did, I ended up running... I ran that race for 4 or 5 years in a row in December. It was just like a yearly thing because it was really important to me that was when I did my first hard thing all by myself. And so I started I started running it every year, and then I, eventually had friends run it with me. But every year before race day, I would go down there and do at least 1 or 2 laps of the mountain just to kind of like, reacquaint myself with it before race day. And so it was really cool just in those subsequent years to go back and to reflect over how I had changed since the last time I was on the trails, right?
That's really
so, like,
cool.
1 year I was like by myself, and the next year I like brought my friend Jake, and we like talked about like where I was with my relationship with my wife and like how we were dating. And then the next year, I like took my friend Greta, and we just talked about like what it is to be queer in the fire service, and like got to know each other. And then, like, I have since stopped running that race because I have proved that I can do hard things. I don't need to keep doing it. But that was kind of the things that I thought about, was just how much I'd grown as a person since the last time I was there. Because, the trails stay the same.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, which was really cool.
Those are really cool milestones. Did you find that, so you've run this race every year for 5 years at a point. How did your training change in between? Because also, like you just said, your life seasons changed quite a bit too. So as a student, you're 21, you're invincible, you just did everything. How was that time different from the last time and also the time that you did your best?
Like how my training has differed?
Yes.
I've just gotten smarter.
More strategy in the training.
I just didn't know anything. Like the first time I went out, like
what did that look like though?
So like the first time I ran the race, I had just like Googled like best foods to eat while running and like stuff, trying to figure it out. So I started a 50K with like some applesauce packets and some mashed potatoes in a Ziploc bag because like people said like potatoes are great for carbs and running, and so I just put a bunch of cold mashed potatoes in a bag and like ate it with me.
Oh my God.
I think I ate one and then I was like, I can't do this. I was just making it worse for myself.
32 miles.
It was like raining. I was sad. It was cold. I was so cold.
On top of that.
It was brutal. So I didn't know anything. I had like this stupid off-brand Camelback that like broke. It was like a whole thing. So then the next year it was like, okay, get a better pack for myself, and then like actually experiment with the foods that work for me, and going like, now I go more of like a candy route, like just quick,
fast, tasty,
quick sugars and stuff, because like I can't do the goos, the gels. They make me puke. I can't do it. It's so gross. And figuring out like my electrolyte intake, I think was the biggest thing, because now I used to do, I think at the first one I didn't take any because I didn't know any better. So then, which they had like aid stations, but the aid stations were like few and far between. So I think the biggest thing I learned in my training strategy was how much I need salt and like electrolytes. So like now I do like 1,000 milligrams sodium every 8 to 10 miles when I'm out.
1,000 milligrams.
1,000.
Wow.
Minimum, and then I take like electrolyte, like salt tablets too, because that's the only thing that helps with like the cramps and stuff. So just better pack, better foods, better like electrolyte and water intake, and then I would take like icy hot for like mile 18 to 20 to like rub on my legs while I'm walking.
So your toolkit was developed.
Yeah.
How did because I know at one point you did the worst that you had ever done, and you said you attributed that to overtraining.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably blocked it out. I don't remember which race that was.
But I remember, because then we both hired a coach.
Yeah.
And the next year you did like way better, but you were so surprised because you were training way more strategically.
Yeah, I remember that one now. I barely trained for that, for that year, which is why I did bad. I started cramping up at like mile 10, and I was like,
oh God, you didn't train at all that year.
I trained for like maybe 6 weeks leading up to the race because I was in really good like fitness. So I was like, I know 90% of the battle is knowing the terrain and knowing what you're getting yourself into, and then being able to plan for like the certain walls you're going to hit and where you're going to hit those walls in the trail. If it's going to be uphill, downhill. So like I already knew the course, and I was like I can wing it, I will be fine. And I didn't do great, but I did do it, and I was fine.
Isn't that just like, I think one of the most unjust things in life is that like fitness translation doesn't move from sport to sport. I'm like, if you're going to go through hell to get to pretty decent fitness, you would think that you'd be able to perform these, but nope, not the case. So when you worked with Colin and you were being really, really strategic, what did that look like?
It was a lot of rest. A lot of rest.
Okay, so, which is probably the biggest surprise of this episode. it was a lot of rest.
A lot of rest.
And if I recall, you also were very, like, as you probably, one, wouldn't have done that without him.
Mm-mm.
And two, he had to keep you very accountable.
Yeah.
For your...
He chained me up, basically. Yeah. I was always complaining. I was always talking about how I'm not doing enough, blah, blah. And he was like, trust the process. I was like, I don't want to. He's like, I know. You're going to be fine. Just do the workouts. I don't want to. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So when you say more rest, like, what did that look like? Because you were also, you're at this point in your job doing shift work.
Yep.
So when you're doing an ultra, I imagine that you still have to get in miles. So what did that look like? How did you juggle that?
Yeah, so it mostly just turned out to be having a lot of flexibility in my schedule, in my running schedule, right? So I would print out like the month, and I would mark the days I was on shift, and then I would compare that to my training schedule and figure out how to make it work. So what that looked like was like, okay, you know, I wasn't as privileged to be able to just mark out all of, like, I want to do this run this day for every day of the week, because my schedule's not normal. And like, working with Colin, it was like, hey, if you have a bad night at work, if you have a bad double, triple, whatever, when you go home, take the day off. Like, don't bother doing anything. Don't try to push yourself.
Just not going to even be productive.
Just don't do it. And at that time, I was a floater, so I was having a lot of bad nights wherever I went. And so what I ended up doing was I pinned like one day of the week where I knew I would go out and do my long run. And usually that was like day 3 of 3 being off shift. I was like, okay, I'm going to go do my long run this day. And then I just kind of like made a list of, okay, these are the runs that I need to do this week, and these are the workouts I need to do this week. And then I would just wake up and see how I felt and be like, okay, I'm at work today, I'm going to do this and this. And then day 2 of work, I'd be like, well, I'm pretty tired, so I'm going to go lighter and do this. So it was, like I said, kind of way more flexible. And it like, I didn't love it because it was just unpredictable, and I couldn't like make habits out of things. You like routine. Yeah, I couldn't make a routine. Yeah. And that was like the hardest part, was just overcoming like that need to adhere to a schedule. Yeah. Yeah. But it helped, and that's still what I do now when I'm out training. I think it really makes a difference for the long nights that we have.
I feel like I still don't feel like I've heard enough about what you feel like running has taught you about who you are. Like, yes, you can do hard things, but if tomorrow you couldn't run at all anymore, what would you miss about like aspects of yourself that you could express being a runner that you couldn't?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know. Running is just a hard thing to do.
Oh God, yes.
It's just a hard thing
I don't do it, so clearly I know.
And I don't really know how I would be able to express myself really outside of that if I were to lose that as a hobby. I'm sure I would obsessively latch on to something else.
Yeah. Yes, you can do hard things, but like, you can endure, you can problem solve, like those kind of tactile, real to life correlations. Or has it really just been like, it's just an expression of like you channeling maybe energy and emotions into this outlet that you couldn't into other outlets?
Yeah, that's probably it. It was more of it started definitely mostly as like a coping mechanism, and then turned into, it was where I found freedom. I was by myself.
That's really interesting that something that started as a coping mechanism became like where you found yourself most free.
I mean, isn't that what coping mechanisms are? The places you can go to find some part of yourself when you don't have control of other aspects of your life, right?
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're out in the woods by yourself and you don't know where the nearest person is, or like which direction is is what, like, it really taught me that, yeah, like, you are stronger than you think, and that you can push your body way past what you could imagine. Like I said, that one race where I started cramping up at mile 10, like, my legs started cramping up, and I was like, oh, fuck, like, I have 22 miles left, you know? Like, try talking yourself through that one, right?
No,
and the thing, you know, there's a lot of races in the ultra world where it's a lot of loops, or like the backyard, you know, last man standing kind of races. It's not like you start at point A and you get to point B and you're done, because those races are easy. You just have to go forward.
300 more laps around this area.
Yeah, when you're hitting those milestones and you're feeling in your body, you're getting more and more tired as each time, and you know, oh, I still have, you know, this many laps to go or this many hours to go. Like, it was always like that last lap of the race was always the worst for me, because you are at the marathon mark and you still have 8 more miles to go.
Oh, God.
And it's the hardest lap, because you're summiting the mountain, you're going directly over the top, and then you shred your quads running down. So it was like knowing that, like, oh, this is what's coming. Like, okay, like, I can do this. Like, my body might be giving up now, but my mind hasn't, and I know that I can. And so just talking myself through it, I guess, being your own hype person, you know. And
so you learned how to become your own cheerleader in a different way.
I
mean, that's essentially what a hype person is.
I realized that I misspoke, because I would not, the things that I was telling myself, I would not be using in cheers for any other person, you know.
You will get through this, you little...
You have no choice. You have no choice. You just have to do it. That's what I would tell myself. Be like, you have no option. You have to finish. You have no option, you know? Which, like, I know, now that I'm a grown and a healthy person, I know that I do have the option.
Now that you've grown. I love that. So, that said, with rest, kind of using rest as more of like like an actual training component then, and that flexibility being really kind of anti your makeup, how did you learn how to give yourself grace to do that? Was it just practicing that more, doing it more? It was
just doing it. Like, it's just knowing that it was just going to kind of be sucky for a while until you just adapted to it.
It's so interesting that, like, humans like familiar, so even if it's healthy or unhealthy, we will always lean to what's familiar, even if the uncomfortable is actually, like, the better thing for us.
Well, I mean, like we talked about last week, you know, lots of people who end up in the fire service come from chaotic households, traumatic backgrounds, and it's just because we gravitate to what's familiar, not because it's good for us.
Yeah. So working with Colin really dramatically changed you, which is funny because working with Colin really dramatically changed me also, but in the exact opposite way.
What do you mean?
Before, I mean, just like you, high achiever, go-getter, I found CrossFit. So I was never athletic. I didn't do any sports, really. I know. Girls being raised to be homemakers, not being in sports. Surprise, surprise. I just, like, didn't, like, I played basketball a little bit, I think, in middle school, but running was, like, really the only thing that I did as an outlet in my early 20s, and the longest I ever did was, like, a 10-miler. I bet you didn't know that, huh?
I think I'm vaguely recalling something along those lines.
I'll probably do, like, a 4-mile, 5-mile every week, like a 2 or 3 mile run, but I think I always worked out, quote unquote, for, like, physique. That was my motivation and driving force. And it makes sense on multiple levels because, like, eating disorders ran in our family. And then, you know, being biracial, I was basically looking at what was around me and seeing that, like, beautiful or pretty was, you know, tall, super thin, blonde haired, blue-eyed women, and I was like literally the exact flip opposite of that. So I hadn't learned yet that like, well, just because I'm not their definition of beautiful or pretty doesn't mean I couldn't be, but in my head, if I couldn't be pretty, I needed to be something else. And so my kind of outlet for that was powerful. But I think the stimulus of that was actually going through Lyme disease, because I was so powerless over like how I felt and what was going on with my body that I didn't want to ever be that powerless or helpless again. And so my like even before I ever imagined myself in the fire service, I had a motivation of like, I want to be strong and powerful. Like I want to rebuild my body. And so, you know, the month after I was cleared from Lyme disease, I like climbed a mountain every other day in Manitou Springs.
And I'm crazy.
I climbed the incline every other day. I did hot yoga classes on the off day of that. I just felt like it felt so, oh my gosh, tearing up. It felt so good to like feel alive again, and not like my body was just in this dark hole of nothing. And so that was really like my opportunity to feel alive and empowered. And so it was a few months after that I found CrossFit. And
oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It was so freaking cool, because I felt like this is what I was like I'm good at this shit. Like, what the heck? Like, and that was so cool to suddenly have, like, I mean, I'm in no respect talented in the gymnastics components, but like, I could move heavy shit. I could like do a long chipper and just like pace myself, and then that community aspect, it was so fun. And so I started doing CrossFit probably 2-ish years before the idea of going into the fire service ever came. And so when I decided to go the fire route, I added some things, like I added heavier lifting and I added long rucks, weighted rucks. But CrossFit had been like that foundation, and I freaking loved it. It was so fun. And
do you have any like max lifts that you were really proud of?
That's a good question. So right before I got in, I was doing Olympic weightlifting, which also so fun. I cannot wait to be able to get back to it. My max back squat.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Do you remember what my max back squat was? I think it might have been like 285. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Which, you know, like, honestly, in
That's
CrossFit circles, that's not actually that big of a deal.
I mean,
but
how tall are you again? Like 5'4"?
So that, like, and that felt so great. Like, it was so empowering. And my max deadlift was pretty close to that also. So that's also why, like, I never doubted the physicality aspect of the fire service, because I was like, well, if this is what they recommend you do, like, this is my jam. And so that was something I was really proud of since training, and I injured my back. Like, my back has just not really been at a point that I can go back to doing that. But I really, really love it. Like, it kind of lights me up. I love the technical aspect of the training. But working with Colin, so I get into CrossFit, and I start training more because I'm getting into fire. And then I go through a year-long training program, which is just brutal. And getting into fire.
Oh, like academy.
Academy,
okay.
And our training station, and then I was so worried that, okay, I was doing all this activity, I can't just stop. Like, I'm going to shift work now, but I need to keep training, but I also feel like my body and my like soul was broken under the, you know, crucible of this training process. So I knew I just wasn't feeling like well. And so I hired Colin because I was doing so much training and like I was feeling lethargic still. I worked, you know, I figured out my sleep solutions and my physique wasn't changing at all. I was 38, I think, at the time, 38 and a half. And so I was just really befuddled. And I hired Colin because he basically told me that, like, he is the coach for women who, like, when they metabolically have no idea what the hell is going on, he can help. And it's so funny because I remember to this day, JD was like, I'll believe it when I see it.
I was literally just thinking that in my head. I was like, wow, sure putting on some airs there, Colin. No, but he lived up to it. Mm-hmm. How long did you work with him for?
So I've worked on and off with Colin. 6 months I worked with him. And in that time, so I actually spoke with Colin yesterday, and he told me that to this day he uses me as his like shining star client to this day because I'm his great before and after of before she was doing all these things. She was so by the book on what they say you should be, and we adjusted all these things, and like she made the progress she wanted to make. But he cracked up because like people like you and I think we have to just do more, and that more is the point. And since working with Colin, I've learned that actually it's the strategy that's the point. And like, you know, you learned with him, rest has to be a part of the training component. And that has, it's really interesting. As the years go by, I'm not only learning and realizing that is such a huge component, it actually changes a lot too. I was just talking to JD about this the other day, that one of my biggest surprises about life these days is the fact that we don't stay fixed as people. Like, and we change in ways that we weren't expecting, not even just from a body standpoint, but for like who we are and what we grow into, and the things that we let go of and shed. And for like women, you know, hormones, I'm 41 now. I started perimenopause probably like literally the month I turned 40, month before I turned 40. And with that comes like an insane intolerance to like stress. And our job is like cortisol, you know, out the roof. And so I've learned that, similar to you, like I have to be so insanely strategic about the amount of excess load that I put on my nervous system and on my body. Otherwise, I'm not going to recover. Yeah. And if you don't recover, basically all your work is for nothing. Yeah.
Recovery, it's not something that, like, for people with the drive that we have and do the things we do, recovery is not something that we earn. Recovery should be a part of the playbook.
Exactly. Recovery is a part of the playbook. And my PT, Tyler, told me a couple of months ago that, like, he sees our shifts as game day. And games are factored in a training process. So whether we show up, because one, we have to show up being ready, which means our blood pressure is higher, our cortisol is higher, like all the biology is there, even if we don't actually have an outlet for it, like we don't actually have a fire or a, you know, big extrication. And then if we have one, it's like almost a playoff game, like because it is that much load and stress to our bodies. I know, like, men and women are so different in that for us as women showing up in this space, we have to factor that way more than the dudes do. Yeah. Like, it feels like an injustice, but it just, like, is. And so if we can acknowledge it, it helps us not, and not fight it. It actually helps get us further with where we want to go. But
such an interesting analogy.
It really is. And then, not only is that an interesting analogy, but if we have these, like, seasons and phases of who we are that change, things change with that. So the way that I approach my training or loved what I did 2 years ago now has to change and look different. And that's, like, something I really wasn't expecting or, like, kind of even prepared for. Like, I knew one of my greatest fears about, like, getting married was, well, the person that you marry isn't going to be the same person in 10 years. And they won't be the same person in 20 years. Like, they're going to change. And I was, like, terrified of the idea of that change. But I never saw that as being a factor for myself. And so now with, like, dealing with or dealing is the wrong word because that's kind of a negative connotation, but factoring in the hormonal shifts that are happening and, like, physiology changes that are happening has been, like, actually really hard. Like, it almost is this weird, like, disappointing thing that what I figured out and, like, made my system, 9 months ago, now suddenly is not working. It's not helping. Like, and so it's such a fluid process now that I've been really, like, disgruntled by, and I'm learning so much about myself, and feeling like I have to give way more grace. But at the same time, it's also forced me to prioritize myself in a really different way. Like,
what has been, like, the biggest piece of that, do you feel like?
The strategy around training with carrying the fact that we have to be in this, like, peak go ready fitness, and also knowing that, like, shifts wipe me the fuck out. Like a double. I'm always like, day one, oh, you know what? It's like, yeah, it's kind of a full day, but, like, I'm pretty good. And then, like, come 3 o'clock on day 2, I'm just like, I feel like a shell.
What happened?
I feel like a shell of my former self. And so, like, planning so much more my training around my shift schedule. And then, like, a year ago, I was super burned out, right? So I almost nixed all training and did only what felt pretty good, and that was weight training. And I did it only on days that I was at work, so that on the days that I was home, I could just fully recover. Like, I could rest, I could do nothing. And then we realized that actually that wasn't as productive for me, because it meant I was riding in this super high go mode, and then I would dip to this, like, under functioning mode. And so, like, when we look at homeostasis, like, we want to be able to adapt and recover to the ups and downs faster, and we can't do that if we're constantly going like this. So we have to learn how to, like, kind of be in more of this bounce back, it's that resilience word, but we learned to bounce back better. And I wasn't able to do that. So
that sucks. It sounded like a really great strategy.
Gosh.
I just got to work out when I go to work, and I don't have to do anything when I'm home. Sounds like a dream.
Well, I mean, I was exhausted too, so, like, that was part of the motivation there. But what I finally, after, like, months and months and months and months of feeling like I wasn't doing enough, I finally kind of come to the realization that we can look at everything you should be doing. There are, like, a bajillion firefighter training programs. There are a bajillion, like, when you're in your 40s, you should train like this.
Yeah.
But more and more I'm realizing I know what actually is helpful by what feels good and what doesn't, what, like, is either stressful stimulus that I can recover from in a day and a half versus, like, 3 or 5 days. And so I realized that, like, my family, Dixon's, like, we can handle weight. We build muscle fast. We are very strong. And so it occurred to me, I can literally do weight training probably every day of the week and not feel sore. So that's like that's a true strength. That's a strength.
Wow.
But that means that, like, if that's a lower stimulus thing, I can put that on shift days, which means the thing that was stressing me out more, that were straining, I like to use the word strain, the thing that was straining me more was cardio. And so now I, like, split my training days altogether. So I'm looking at training like 5 or 6 days a week, but the weight training, you know, around my shift work is easy. Like, it's lower stimulus for me, and the cardio is like what I make my go mode kind of training. So that looks like, you know, basically twice a day hit, and then like 40 minutes of, I'll throw on some fun music, I'll do some like crazy dancing, I'll do my rebounder for 40 minutes, like things that like get my heart rate up, give me steps, get me moving, but it's not stressful, and it's fun. And
no more insanity, huh?
You saw those DVDs on the stairs.
No, are they over there?
Oh my gosh! So mom
that's so
had
funny.
Insanity and The Asylum and something else from Beachbody. She was gonna throw them away. So I was like, "Give me those! I'll take those."
I have all the digital files. On
Like,
my
I'm
computer.
sure at some point maybe, probably not, but couldn't bear to throw them away yet.
It's too much history.
But it was fun. So I think, like, learning that my activity now is going to be way more productive if it's, like, fun versus things that I feel like I think I need to, have to, should be doing. And that's been just, like, a completely different mindset perspective.
And that started from working with Colin?
That started because of, like, all the hormone changes. And the, like, feeling in myself, the difference of, like, why am I so fatigued? Why does it take me, you know, it's like day 3 and before I finally feel like I'm recovered from the last double and I go to work tomorrow. Like, so it's been so much trial and error. And also I just, like, hate that guilt pressure of, like, oh, you need to just stay ready. You need to stay. So that's still, like, always a factor, I think, for me. But, there's been so much adapting and realizing that, like, as women, we have to give ourselves the permission slip that we're going to need to adapt.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, what works for you in your 20s is not going to work for you in your 30s. What works for you in your 30s is not going to work in your 40s. And also that, like, that is not only okay, you can use it to your advantage. Like, what did you tell me? The 40s is when, late 30s, early 40s is when ultra runners hit their peak. So guess what? You can, like, still kind of just run status quo what you want, and then maybe in 10 years suddenly you're like, how in the world is this so easy? So, like, it can be beneficial for us too, but they're concepts that you don't hear about.
Yeah.
It's just been, like, trial and error and giving myself the grace to, like, not feel guilty and pressured, and I mean, I did. But now giving myself the permission to not stay in that state and just be curious and, like, connected to myself is definitely the better route, and it has been really, really helpful.
I feel like it probably took some time to be able to accept mentally that it was a better route for you, though.
Oh yeah, like, at least Colin again was the first, like, real signal of this kind of new mode. So it's been, like, 3 years.
Wow.
Which makes sense if we go our whole lives thinking certain things and being a certain way. Like, it's going to take a long time to learn something new, you know?
And as we change, the things that, like you said, like, you know, you might figure it out now, but
that doesn't mean anything in 5 years.
No. No. Even 3 years, like, our bodies are change all the time.
Yeah, the joy of women's bodies. We change all the time.
So, knowing all the things you know now, what would you have told yourself, like, you're about to go into your conversation with Colin for the first time. Like, you have this idea in your head of what works for you and blah, blah, blah. And then he comes at you with all these other things. And you're like, I don't know if I should, is this going to make a difference? Is this going to work? All of that. Like.
I guess I would say, be curious and open, because as much as we like models or examples or methods, like truly, our bodies are all different. They're made different. We have different genes. We have different like expressions of those genes, hormones, habits, muscle, like everything. And so like you kind of do have to become a little bit, obsessive is the wrong word, but like very much connected and
Intentional.
Yeah, intentional about getting to know yourself. And seeing that, like, I was talking to JD about this, I was throwing out the question of like, well, how do I know if lifting 6 to 8, doing 6 to 8 reps is going to be more productive than 12 to 15 reps? And like the answer was like, okay, well, like, how does this shape my muscles and how am I recovering from it? How long is it taking me to recover? So like having that curiosity and the intentionality to be connected with yourself, because like the great mystery and angst of life here on this planet, I think, is that like you know yourself more than anybody else can ever know you. And so taking the time to like learn yourself and giving yourself, like, you have to give yourself grace for being flexible. So not like, don't look at your body as a tool, look at your body as a treasure. Because if you look at it as a treasure, like, even if it's your greatest asset, if you look at it as a treasure, you're going to treat it different than if it was just a tool in the toolbox. And yeah, I think you're right in that I had a really terrible and growing experience of like Lyme disease, and so I know how much you can lose if you lose your health. And so that's very motivating to me. I don't ever want to feel that way again. Curiosity, connection, grace, flexibility, and fun. Like, we train so often because we have to and we feel the need to, but is there a way to really connect what, like, the shape we feel like we have to be in with that fitness level with like things we really, really find fun? Because fun is so life-giving. So instead of it being like a drain, like, oh, I trained and I'm exhausted, like, there will be a give and take that, yes, I added a little bit of fatigue and strain, but like, I got a lot of life out of it. And yeah, that might be like the biggest lesson that I'm just learning probably in the last like month, is if I look at, activity as, how does it give me, it can give me life back, but that's my signal for what I should be doing, what I need to be doing. Because if it takes away so much, it's not what's for me.
That's a really interesting point that you would come to realize that too. At one point in the middle of one of my training cycles, I was having a really hard time getting out the door to like go out on these runs, because it was like I started training in like January, February, March in the Pacific Northwest. It's rain, it's sleet, snow, all the horrors, just the cold, like just like the, like the
bone,
deep,
deep.
the cold that just wraps around you like a wet towel, right? And I was talking to Grace about it, and she was like, don't view your runs as something you have to do. You get to run. Like, not everybody gets to run. You get to go run. You don't have to go run. And I was like, and that helped on some of the harder days of like just the mindset shifting, or like the reframing.
Yeah.
Right? One of my marathoner friends, he's insane. He's like on the whole professional level, like that I'm not on. He ran like a 2:52 marathon last year. Like, you know, 6'3", long legs, beanpole kind of a guy. Great dude. But he was telling me that on a lot of his long runs, he likes to just, you know, he puts on his headphones and then he'll call a friend he hasn't talked to in a while.
Aww,
and they'll just chat like while he's running, because he's one of the blessed people who has breath when he runs. Extra breath while he runs.
Wow.
To be able to just like go and talk to people.
I love that.
That's so, it's like cool because like it is making it fun, and you're like getting to connect with someone else, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm out on a run, just wanted to call and see how you're doing and like chit chat and catch up. And like I contemplated it this last week when I was going out for a run. I was like, maybe I should call somebody. I need all of this air. I need all of this air as I'm sucking
for our future self.
Running up this hill. I could not spare. Yeah, but I think I am also learning how to just try to have more fun, because lots of life is not fun, and there's so many things all the time. Just they never end, right? But like trying to have the fun is like the most important part of it. It's like it's your life, like, you know.
Well, it's your life. Why are you doing things you hate?
Yeah.
And yes, we have to like be in this peak fitness, but like we can be in peak fitness doing something fun. Like I'm gonna show you after this episode.
Oh God.
I found these intense dance classes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. First of all, I don't think 80% of the firefighters out there could keep up with these folks in these dance classes.
Dude, people can't.
Holy Moses.
These people wouldn't even be able to do Pilates. Like, I did like a 10-minute like intro Pilates class, and it kicked my ass.
Yes, they hurt so bad. But yeah, if longevity is the name of the game, doing things that we hate and that like drain us all the time is, well, of course, the women retire after 15 years because we're not built like men, and we're trying to do it the way that they do it. So yeah, we have to incorporate more fun. So how about if you were to come across a 24-year-old girl freshly in the fire service?
Run.
Oh my gosh.
Away.
Oh my God.
There is a lion chasing you. Run away.
I thought you were going to talk about training, so that's hilarious. Just go run for your training. What would you tell her of like things to factor as she's training being in the fire service?
Sleep is the most important thing.
I could wait. I'm sorry. Are we recording this?
Are we recording this? That's what you sound like.
I don't think I heard this.
No, you heard your own echo. Yeah. Yeah, sleep is the most important thing.
Oh, who taught you that?
I don't remember. Some rando, I think. Some rando.
We have to talk about sleep at some point in an episode, just for the context of the backstory of you, a 24-year-old, having to listen to your older sister talk about sleep and that what happened when you actually did. So, anyway, 24-year-old.
Yeah, sleep and kind of what we talked about earlier, rest is not something earned. Rest should be a part of your playbook. And yeah, not even just recovery, but rest. Like, you will sit, you will rest, you know, like, put a movie on, relax.
I'm sorry, are we recording this? You will sit, you will rest?
Yeah.
Do you have art of that on your wall?
No.
I'm going to get that for your birthday.
You just missed it. You'll have to wait a whole other year. But yeah, and like we didn't even touch on like the nutrition part today.
Yeah.
Which we don't have time for.
No.
But nutrition and rest and sleep, those are the things, those are the keys to longevity and being able to keep doing what you love and being able to still have fun, you know. Yeah. Food.
I love this season is so fun just because of the juxtaposition and the contrast of like where you are in life and where I am in life, and that you can be in the same job and like the outlet and the expression of how you live and how you show up for that still performing well is just can look vastly different. And I think that's probably what I just hope people walk away with, Women in Fire walk away with when they see this episode, is that like they can figure their own shit out on their own and not be compared to how anybody else is doing it, because that is actually going to be the best way for them. And I think it takes courage to decide that too.
It's hard to make your own way.
It is. Just like there's doubt, there's, like confidence, but really listening to like, okay, what feels good in this body, in my activity, and paying attention to that is like the best way to navigate your way, I think, through training that like just works out best for you.